This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me, I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
What is poppin', everybody, and welcome back to another special episode of the Only Friends podcast. Well, you know, I'm here with my only friends. And it is the last day in the Bahamas for us, man. This was such a fun trip. I've enjoyed this so much.
It sounds like you had a good time.
I can't even talk. My voice is gone. I'm just I don't really talk to people normally. I hang out with Corey all day. We just hang out.
Put a little strain on yourself this trip?
This is way too much talking for me.
Too much 4 a.m. pool time. I understand, man. I get it. It's beautiful out there.
First of all, I leave by 1:45. I'm done. Count Connie out unless it's a slumber party. I'm just gonna sleep on the couch.
Right. Many couches have been slept on. I mean, yeah. It's as a Western PA boy, spending a little bit of February in the Bahamas and getting a tan instead of 30 below and a bunch of snow is different. Speaking of Western PA, I don't know if you guys are aware of this. You're all familiar with Groundhog Day, I'm sure, right? Okay.
Yeah. Isn't that a movie?
It is a movie.
Okay.
It's also a day of the year where we have a groundhog predict if there will be 6 more weeks of winter or not.
What do you say?
Well, wait, before we get to that.
Hear ye.
It's okay. I was just about to say, before we get to that, do you guys know where Groundhog Day takes place?
Well, obviously it's fucking Pittsburgh.
Punxsutawney,
baby. It's Punxsutawney Phil. I was talking to Lillian about this, and she's like, I thought everybody just had a groundhog who looked to see if he had a shadow. I'm like, there's one groundhog, and he is in Punxsutawney.
Punxsutawney?
That's right.
How far is that from Pittsburgh?
It's probably about 90 minutes from Pittsburgh and about an hour from where I grew up. So it's a little closer to Central PA, Altoona-ish area. But yeah, we have the presentation for you.
Now on this February 2nd, Punxsutawney Phil, the seer of seers, was awakened from his wintry nap at dawn on Gobbler's Knob. Phil looked to the skies and then, speaking in groundhogese, directed this President Dunkel to the proper scroll, which reads, I see the morning has brought the finest people. I see their bravery and spirit. The time has come, I can feel it, the excitement, I can hear it. I see the folks with gray in their hair, and I see the kids all young and scrawny. Their eyes and cheeks aglow from the cold, clean air of sweet Punxsutawney. I see that everyone knows their part, and I am merely the sage. But above all else, I see a shadow on my stage. And so, no matter how you measure, it's 6 more weeks of winter weather.
Now, I grew up with this tradition. I never realized that they cheer for more winter.
Wait.
I was wondering what the cheering was for also, and that is not how I would have spelled Punxsutawney.
I'm wondering why. What's up with those top hats and what's going
it's
on
old-timey
here?
wear, man.
Huh?
This dates back to
the
old-timey days.
1300s?
No.
Is this something where the groundhog dies and then they just replace it with another one and call it the same thing?
No. Phil's actually 300 years old.
All of the groundhogs are Phil. I don't. What's a traditional groundhog lifespan?
I don't know, but I imagine that they have a generation of groundhogs and they have this cushy little man-made Punxsutawney Phil home that
he was fully snuggling on that guy. He was like a puppy.
They live up to 14 years.
Okay, so this is probably Punxsutawney Phil, I don't know, a 100.3. There's probably been dozens upon dozens of them, if nothing else. But yeah, that means 6 more weeks of winter, which means 6 more weeks of snowboarding for this guy. So I'm going to be going straight from the Bahamas to somewhere that has about 10 feet of powder.
Colombia?
Relax, guy. Jesus. What kind of trip has this been for you, man? He sat us down one day and he was like, I really don't appreciate it that you guys like make me out to be the drug guy.
I never said that. You're the one that said something about 10 fucking... I don't do that shit. I've never done that shit in my life.
Yeah.
I don't like that nasty ass shit.
We have a big show for you guys today. It is our final day in the Bahamas, so we have a lot to catch up on. There's a lot of news that dropped, including the GPI award finalist. The WSOP schedule is out. We're going to discuss that at length. And we have a PSPC final table to talk about as well, being led by the one and only Nacho Barbaro. He's going to be coming in as the chip leader. We're going to talk about that in full. But before we get to all of that, we have a very special guest today, the one and only Glen Cragen is going to be joining us to talk about his path through the Platinum Pass, winning a free roll event, getting into the 25K, and shipping it.
What is popping, Glenn?
Not much.
How you doing, man?
Yes, I am for this weekend, I guess.
So I was telling the audience every day as we were walking into the podcast, would run into you outside the door, happy as a clam, just ready to rock it off. You told us that you're a podcast listener, so obviously we started following your story along. I was shocked and thrilled whenever I had already busted, but I was kind of sweating the coverage and whatnot. And I see this video start to circulate of this guy who had free rolled his way into the 25K, cashed, and slammed the beer on the bubble once it burst. It just so happened to be you.
Wasn't a beer, it was a Pepsi.
Oh, okay.
My man, a Pepsi.
He's keeping it clean until he busts.
No, I don't drink very often. So.
Oh, okay. Nice. So tell us a little bit about your backstory first and foremost. Where are you from? How did you get into poker?
I'm from Alberta, Canada, just outside of Edmonton, Alberta. Pretty much the Chris Moneymaker story. In 2006, started watching poker. Started playing a little bit up in camp at work, just $20 10-person tournaments, and then started going to the casino once in a while, and just been playing, got online, played micro stakes for a while, and that's about it. Just recreational, totally recreational, hobby.
Do you play online more than live, or is it like kind of a mix of both?
I'd say a mix of both. I prefer live better than online. I've won more, but even before this, I've won more live than I have online.
Okay, so. That makes sense. So what was the path then to winning the PSPC pass?
Well, when it first got announced, I was grinding the spinning $1.50 steps to try to work my way in there. I'm part of the Poker Stars forum community, and they have a monthly free roll for the members, which is usually $5,000 free roll. With the PSPC, they gave out $100 tickets to the top 50, and it was like 5,000 entries, and I placed in there, got that ticket, and then just did the steps from there. And it was all the $100 step I played while I was playing an $80 live tournament, and I ended up winning the live tournament on the step.
Wow.
Also, the free roll as well, I was playing an $80 tournament, and I won the $80 tournament on that one as well.
That's amazing.
And then the $1,000 one I played on my phone at work. We usually don't work on Sundays, but we got called in, and it's a $1,000 tournament. I wasn't gonna not play it.
Yeah.
I looked at the payout schedule, and it was second place to 29th. Got another $1,000 ticket, so my goal was just place top 29.
Right.
And then play the next one, hopefully at home on the laptop where I could concentrate and actually go. And I couldn't play every hand because I'm a finish roller, so I have to get on my roller, roll some asphalt. And then I do get time off where I have to wait for the asphalt to cool down, and that's when I would play. And before we knew it, it's like down to 10 of us, and I was a nice stack, and I'm like, I must actually win this thing at work, man. And yeah, I just kept going, and then it was four-handed, and I was second chip lead. Two guys had less than 5 big blinds. I had like 25. Chip leader had like 29. eyes in the under the gun. I had ace-7. I just shoved it in, hoping to get one of the small stacks out. The other chip leader was in the big blind, and he ended up calling with ace-9.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, well, getting a $1,000 ticket, and I spiked a 7 on the turn, and I'm like, oh my God,
That's
I'm going
it.
to win this thing.
Yeah.
And after that, it was just shove all in every hand, because they were
Yeah.
all less than 5 bigs, and like 5 minutes later, I won the pass. And
That's amazing.
This is a beautiful spin it up
Crazy.
story. I love
Yeah.
this.
Was everyone at your work freaking out?
everybody except for my foreman knew I was playing. And they were watching and asking, like, well, how you doing? I'm like, oh, still in, doing good. And then when I won, like, I'm on the finish roller, so I'm way back behind the crew. Like, I'm pretty much on my own. And I was walking towards them across the grass playing the last hands. And when I won, and it said, you won a $30,000 Platinum Pass, I just started screaming and jumping up. And my foreman thought I got hurt or there was an accident and came running over. What's wrong? What's wrong? I'm like, I just fucking won $30,000. He's like, what? And I showed him. He wasn't upset.
Yeah.
And he said, just don't be playing while you're operating your equipment. I said, no, you can watch. I only do it when I'm on the ground and everything. And,
Yeah.
and here we are now, and 60,000 Canadian. It's like, wow, it's just amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible, man.
That's so awesome.
That's my first experience playing the main event was very similar. I got 3-handed in a party poker sit and go, and I got it all in King 10 versus King Queen, and I hit a 10, and it locked me the seat because top 2 got the seat, and I just threw my laptop in the air.
Yeah.
Just like come crashing to the ground. I didn't even care. It's an amazing thing that the poker dream is still alive in this sort of capacity where these companies, we saw it a lot with the WPT for the WPT championship at the Win recently, and now with the PSPC for Stars, they're really facilitating the dream again. That's a remarkable story. You get a free roll into a $100 buy-in, into a 1K buy-in, into the Platinum Pass, into a cash now for $46,000 American. Like,
Yeah.
what does that mean to you, I guess, moving forward as far as your trajectory goes?
Well, I want to start taking poker more seriously. I really looking forward to getting a year subscription to your guys' course. I think I'm going to take this summer off and try to spin up a bankroll locally and just go from there and see what happens.
That's amazing. So when you say take it a little bit more seriously, obviously I understand you're talking spending more time, putting in more study, but what is available to you to actually play?
Like in local tournaments, I could play $80 tournaments basically every day, and then we have, I think it's 4 $340 deep stack tournaments every month, and then we get I think it's 2 or 3 series a year in Edmonton, and then Calgary has the WSOP circuits, and they have a lot of events there, and then maybe even travel to Montreal and try to hit some series down there.
Have you been to Vegas yet?
No, I haven't been to Vegas
Never?
yet. No, never.
Oh man,
This is my second time out of Canada since I've been alive.
really?
so,
Where was
yeah.
the first?
It was in the States when I was 12 on a holiday with my parents.
Okay, so this is a big trip.
Yeah, it's huge.
Have you enjoyed the Bahamas so far?
Oh, it's unbelievable going from minus 25 degrees Celsius into this.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I've never been to Alberta, but I imagine it's dark and cold right now.
Yeah, when we left, for me, it was warm, like minus 10 degrees Celsius, but it was dropping down to like minus 30. And tomorrow we're flying home, and it's supposed to be warming back up to like the minus teen, so it was a perfect week to leave.
That's nice.
Warming back up to the minus.
Yeah, well, for us Canadians, that's kind of warm in the winter.
Yeah.
I want to know where you get all of your amazing t-shirts. I'm pretty sure yesterday your t-shirt just said fish. Today it says minus EB. Like, this is my style. Where did you get these?
This is just merch from poker vloggers, poker players that I follow on social media and watch. And this is Ryan DePaulo's merch. The fish is Bet on Drew's merch.
That's awesome.
And so you spend a lot of time, because they mentioned that you're in the Solve for Why forum, and that you're clearly in the Poker Stars forum. So this is also something that you're using to help your game, or using to sort of connect with just other people?
Yeah, like I don't have a lot of friends at home that play poker, so I go into communities just to bounce ideas and hear hand histories from other people and just try and improve my game.
Have you met a lot of the people that you've known in only virtually since you've been here?
Yes, I've met so many people that I've followed and watched, like people I've watched for the last 15 years to people that I've just followed for the last year, from super high nosebleed stake players to like GJ Reggie, I watch her. She's a micro stake streamer, PokerStars star, and it's amazing all the people. I've crossed so many things off my bucket list that I never thought I'd get to do. So.
And did you, I mean, I know every table had tons of amazing players and celebs, and your journey to the bubble, did you play with some sickos?
Yes, I played with many. I can't remember a lot, and a lot of them I don't know how to pronounce their names, but like Alexandre Volodymyr was at my table. Daniel Devores I played with. Baruzzi I sat at the table with. Chance Corneth I was on the feature table with. It's just amazing. Like, I never thought I'd ever get to meet these guys, and here we are today meeting them. And
What was that experience at the feature table like?
it was short-lived. It was definitely that was one thing I've always wanted to do, is play on a TV table. The first time I played, I should have called. I knew Chance probably was going to basically put me all in with any 2 cards. He told me after he had ace-6. I folded an ace-8 that I opened. I should have called it off, but I'm still happy. The experience, I cannot complain. Like, I'm more than happy with the way it all played out. So
You didn't go back and rewatch it all, or you did?
I've been watching all the videos, all the interviews. I've watched my bust out and the videos when the bubble burst. I had the camera guys on me. I watched all that footage. And
It's awesome.
I'm curious about hearing your experience around the bubble. So, like, as it was getting down to the hand for hand and it was taking forever, obviously you're really sweating this. What was your chip position? What was your strategy in this particular moment? How were you feeling?
The article said I had 25 big blinds. I don't believe I did. I'm pretty sure I was under 20, and it was stressful because there'd be all ins, and then I'm sitting there waiting, listening, and then short stack doubles up, and it's just stressful. I did play a 1K main event at WPT Deep Stacks in 2016. And I stone bubbled it, and I did not want to do that this time again. But and then when I tripled up on the bubble,
you tripled on the bubble?
Yes.
What was that hand?
Oh, it was it folded around to me. I was in later position. I had King Jack suited, and I can't remember. I think it was 130,000, a bit less. It wasn't over 20 big blinds. And I was like, well, I got to shove. I need, because if the bubble keeps going and I keep losing blinds, I'm going to blind out. So I'm just going to shove, try to take down the blinds. And then directly to my left, the guy, he reshoved, and then another guy, he went in. I'm like, oh God, here I am.
Oh my God, this has to be the worst feeling.
I thought I was bubbling. I'm like, whatever. And I still wouldn't have been upset because the experience is amazing. I was trying to pull my phone out to record the hand. I didn't even see the jack hit on the flop.
What did they have?
I was Jack King suited versus Ace King versus Ace King.
Oh, okay.
And as I was pulling out my phone, I can't remember. I think it was I can't remember his name. He's like, you realize you hit a jack? Because I wasn't watching the flop, tried to record it, and I seen it, and I just started yelling, hold, hold, and it did, and then I was just in cloud 9. I was like, wow, and then I was up to 300.
Wait, that was against Baruzzi was in the hand.
Yes,
I think.
Baruzzi was.
I saw he tweeted it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then after that, I'm like, I don't care. I'm just folding into the money because this min cash is more important to me than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we came looking for you on the bubble, and they were like, I think he's outside smoking. I was like, this guy's cool as a cucumber, no big deal.
Yeah, and I did come back, and I actually looked down, and I got pocket king. So I did see a flop once. The flop came out queen, ace. Somebody bet. I folded my king's ace up. I said, you guys can explain me all you want until the bubble.
Right.
After the bubble, I'll start playing. But for now, I'm just worried about him in cash.
That's so amazing, man. This story's been so great. I want to help further this path that you're pursuing. So I know you mentioned that you want to get a year's subscription to our site. We're going to take care of that for you.
Awesome.
And I know that you're in the Discord channel, so I want you to utilize us as much as humanly possible. Don't lurk. Message me, because it's a big transition from the working world to pursuing this professionally.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. For people like me, when you try to study, it's hard to know where to start.
Right.
You can look at all this stuff and the numbers and stuff. It's just you don't understand a lot of it, and you don't know where to start. So hopefully this will help me start to understand all this stuff. And I understand pre-flop ranges, and that's about it. You know? And bet sizings, I kind of got an idea. I know I'm not perfect at them, but I hope this course will help me get all that figured out.
Yeah, definitely shoot me a message on Discord. We're going to take care of it. I'm going to get you the homeschool course, so I'm going to take care of you for your subscription. And then from there, just check in with me every now and again. We'll kind of get some bankroll management things in place. We'll get some study tips in place and get you on your way.
For sure. It's an awesome experience, and even coming onto your podcast is like off my bucket list. Like,
Good.
It's awesome. Like, I watch you every day, man.
Next bucket list item is Vegas for the main.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go. But satellite in.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to be playing satellites, playing everything I can to get into the big stuff from now on. So I always have, but I'll continue to do so.
That's amazing. Well, it's been a great pleasure meeting you, Glenn. Thank you so much for including us in your story.
Thank you.
And for telling it on air. I know that there's a ton of people watching who could probably relate and would love to be in your shoes. So spend it wisely, my friend. Enjoy the Great North and stay warm.
I will. Thank you very much.
Don't spend it.
It's going to be invested in poker, and I'm going to fix up my house a little bit too.
Awesome. Well, have a safe trip back.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Glenn. All right. Man, it's nice to have a feel-good story every now and again, you know?
That was good.
It's like, it was like very similar to like whenever Cuz kind of made his deep run. You know, it's like it's so easy to pull for this.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever we find ourselves in these situations, we're so jaded by the game. It's like, you're just here every day. Like, could you imagine?
I started crying when he said, I started tearing when he was like saying how he got into it, and I was like, man, I don't have the fucking heart for that.
That's what I'm saying.
I have no heart. Like,
Sarah, like as a non-professional, do you think you could ever see yourself playing a free roll to get into a $100 buy-in, to get into a 1K buy-in, where you had to win a 5,000 person tournament in order to get into a 30K buy-in?
Yes, I could definitely see myself doing that. Actually, when he was talking, I was just reminiscing about the days when we could play poker online. I was just thinking, he's just working and he's on his phone. Can you imagine you could play poker online on your phone, just hanging out, like doing whatever? Those were the days. But I mean, yeah, like that takes a lot of heart. It takes a lot of heart.
Well, the thing is, though, it makes a lot of sense, though, because when you're doing it recreationally, it's fun for you.
Yeah.
A professional basketball player would probably say, like, yo, could you imagine just going to the gym and after working out, just like running 5-on-5 with a bunch of scrubs? It's like, of course not. They would never in a million years do that. But like, I would love to do that for fun.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, I think we're so far removed. Like when I say we, me and Conrad specifically, it's like we're so far removed from what it was like to just have a passion for this game and be able to look at.
I have a passion for the game. You
yeah,
know,
but like it's different. You care about your hourly. You care about your bottom line. You care about, you know, big opportunities and cashing in. For these guys, it's like, what the fuck do I have to lose?
That's true.
You know, this guy's gonna let me play a tournament for free, and if I win it, I win $100 into another tournament where I could win $1,000. You know, I mean, it keeps progressing. I love the competition that's brewing right now with live events.
This is amazing. Like
it's so good for the space.
Yep.
And we're gonna kind of talk about that. That's gonna lead us into the WSOP talk, but this aggressive nature by which WPT, Poker Stars, and now the WSOP are approaching this, where they have to give value back.
Yep. I think we could say it started actually here first, because they've been doing this for years for this Platinum Pass thing.
Right.
So
2 years, but yeah. It took 4 years to do it.
It took a long
It's
time.
been since like 2019, guys. Remember when COVID?
Right.
No, but like, and then WPT did it in the December. That was just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I actually think too it started earlier, because I remember going to Monte Carlo and it wasn't a $25,000 tournament, but they started, and this was, I want to say maybe 2017-ish, they started by giving away 370 something seats to the main in the grand final in Monte Carlo.
Ooh.
And Monte Carlo had been dying out because for a lot of poker players, you know, of course it's going to be a minus EV trip a lot of the time just because of the fact that it's so expensive. And so they essentially inserted all of this value. And I think it was because of Spin and Goes. I can't remember. They were trying to promote something that was more gambly, and they gave away a ton of seats to the main event in Monte Carlo. And all of a sudden, all of the poker players again also were enticed to come to the event. And I do think that it was brilliant and it makes sense, but it's so symbiotic. It's mutually symbiotic, right? Bringing more people to the game brings more poker players back to the game, which is good for media, which is good to bring more poker players to the the whole thing is.
It's nice to see these festivals begin to form again, where there's an absolute buzz in the air.
Yep.
Like, I remember what it was like playing, and maybe it's a little bit of nostalgia where I was on the come up and I was younger, and so like all of this was bigger than life to me. But like the early 2000s, pre Black Friday, every stop you went to was the biggest deal on earth. Like when it came to WPTs, like sure they were all 10Ks and yeah they were all 7 figures the first, and that was a big draw in and of itself. But also like the media around it, like there was like media row almost. And I talk about this all the time, but like Poker Road was way ahead of its time. Way ahead of its time. You want to talk about traveling podcasts, like that's literally what they were. It was 3 guys on the circuit grinding, going stop to stop and recording episodes from the place that they were at. It was amazing content.
Yeah, sounds
and it was so far ahead of a decade ahead of its time. Like something like that would crush now, I would hope.
I've heard rumors.
That's not,
Fingers crossed.
I like that.
Fingers crossed.
Because we have a traveling.
Right, we do apparently have a traveling podcast.
Okay, let's make sure.
Guapa's not happy about that. It's like, you set it up, man. It's a lot of work.
It's like, what do you mean your flight's at 5 today?
It's like, we leave tomorrow. Who's going to pack this shit up?
Oh, my God.
That does kind of carry me in, though, a little bit to the announcement of the WSOP schedule. Before I talk about the schedule itself, I want to talk about these value adds that they've kind of thrown in. So Kev Math has tweeted kind of a quick breakdown of what they've added. Their ambition this year is to make it the biggest main event of all time, which I believe last year was the second biggest. They didn't break the Jamie Gold year, right?
Right.
Okay, so they want to break the Jamie Gold year. In the press release, they said that 112 seats will be given away on WSOP.com, which is amazing. This is something I've been clamoring over for years, that the fact that that site isn't a satellite hub to the main event means that we don't have enough buzz around the main event. Like, it's exactly the same as this PSPC and the WPT Championship. Like, you have a platform to facilitate getting these seats out there. And if you take a small loss in the process, I promise you'll be better for it in the long run. So 112 seats are going to be given away, I assume, through scrambles on WSOP.com.
I'm so excited.
Maybe they'll be doing some like giveaway type things like PSPC did. I'm not sure. If the main event field size record is broken, all entrants will be in a drawing for free buy-in for the next 30 years.
Oh.
So they're framing it as main event for life.
What?
That is so dope.
I mean, it is like the poker player in me just can't help it. Like the EV of it. So say it breaks and they get like, let's say 10,000 entrants, right? To make the math easy. So now you have a 1 in 10,000 chance of $300,000. So it's like, it's $1. But for one person, that's going to be like the biggest experience ever.
Yeah.
You're just like locked in for the next 30 years. And if you're a winning poker player, like that can result in a lot of money.
Oh my God. I hope no winning poker player wins it. I will be so fucking sick of a winning poker. It's like Glance just pulling the $1 million bounty.
Yeah, that was so brutal, man. That money is never getting reinserted in the community. Just like, he's immediately just like firing it off in his Robinhood account. So brutal. Shout out to Glance. But the funny thing is, if it's a non-winning player, like you almost have to be a winning player by the end of it, right? Like that's 30 straight main events you're gonna play. Figure it the fuck out.
Definitely, you should start trying to figure it out.
Right? Like if you cash a couple, you're gonna end up breaking even. But
you get a year's salary every year.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, man.
Beautiful thing.
But there's a little bit more to highlight, I think, from the schedule. A bunch of new events have been added. So a few notable ones that I think the community has been asking for quite some period of time. There's a 1500 short deck that's been added, which I think is a really good addition. When these championship events exist, it's nice to have an entry point or a smaller buy-in that kind of reflects the championship event. It is a post-lim, so it's only really going to be for people who are out of the main, but that's okay.
Do you think there is an actual audience for that?
I worry that this is too late. I think that short deck was red hot in 2018. Mm-hmm. And I think that this event could have gotten like well over 1,000 runners back then. I anticipate it probably doesn't do great. Maybe gets like, especially as a post lim, maybe gets like 200 to 300 runners. But I know like I'm super excited to play it if I'm out, because I enjoy short deck, but I've only played it like a dozen times, and I don't really have any reason to try to learn it or to get better. And I think that's the other thing about it is I think it's really good to insert games where the pros aren't heavily incentivized to be experts, right? Like, yeah, we might have just a natural card sense about us that will allow us to be slightly better than the field, but no limit hold'em tournaments are very hard, even if you're really good. So like, imagine how much more level the playing field is when everybody's just kind of like feeling it out. I think another suggestion that I had made was either changing the tag team event or adding a second tag team event that's just bomb pots. I think maybe the Win ran this. Somebody ran it, but it was a huge success.
Oh yeah, it was the Win.
Yeah, it's just like bomb pots are here to stay. It's such a fun derivative of the game that we've been playing for so long, and nobody's good at it. And nobody even really has a chance to get good at it, right? So it's like adding one or two fun events like that every year to the festival that will kind of draw a crowd, and more importantly, give the recreational like a legitimate shot at competing against very good players where they don't have that big of an edge. I think that's always fun. And we've gotten to a point where it's like we don't have to be so particular about the prestige of the bracelet. Like, like, is it okay that we award a bracelet to a carnival game? It's like, fuck yeah, we award a bracelet to a Flip-A-Go winner. It's like, I think with online, there's something like 126 bracelets this year. So they're giving away basically 20 bracelets a week for 6 weeks, or 21 bracelets a week for 6 weeks. So it's like, I've never been of the sense of, the bracelet's diluted and like we should have fewer events, blah blah blah. The professional poker players that are like complaining that the World Series has too many events really need to see the forest for the trees. Like, you play this game for a living and they're offering you volume, man. What are you doing? Like, what's the issue here? Why are we complaining? My lone pushback would be that I think they're taking the buy-ins, the buy-in price point way too far. Let the other, like, give the scraps to the rest of the city. Stop trying to have them, compete with your 5K buy-in by running a 1,500, right? Because it hurts the WSOP more than I think they realize. Those 5K fields will get a bunch of $1,500 players if there isn't an alternative around town, right? But because you run a $300 $3 million guarantee, the Venetian has to compete by like just challenging your schedule every single chance that they get. And when they see weak points where they say, okay, a 3K buy-in or a 5K buy-in is slightly above what the recreational clientele is, we can pull them away. They're going to. So I think, like, in my perfect optimal world, the smallest buy-in for the WSOP would be the 1K turbos, and they would only be so if you're going to run turbos, make them 1K, period, fine. And then everything else would be like 1,500s and above. I think it's like so reasonable.
That's how it was when I started, for sure.
Yeah, and think of the inflation since then.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Like 1,500 then would probably be the equivalent of like 2K now, maybe 2,500s.
They're deeper now too. Like a
They're deeper, but
1,500, you
faster.
started with like 1,500 chips.
Yeah.
And now you get 3,000, right?
No, you get like 60,000.
In the 1,500s?
And everything.
Wow.
Everything's like a Giga Ultra Monster deep stack, but the structure,
yeah.
The structure's changed. So like a lot of the events are 30-minute levels day 1, 40-minute day 2. Well, I shouldn't say a lot. All of the buy-ins below 1,500 are 30-minute day 1, 40-minute day 2s, with there being turbos as well, which they call super turbos. Those are 20-minute levels, and I think all that's fine because it's all like relatively specific to this buy-in range. And it's another reason why I think that like they're doing themselves a disservice, because across town or across the street, they're running the exact same buy-in, able to house thousands of people, and offering blind levels that are 2 to 3x long. And most people, in my opinion, that play this game with any level of seriousness, and it's insulting to assume recreationals don't play it with a level of seriousness, will choose the better structure. That's just my personal opinion and experience. So that would be like my lone pushback, I guess. But I think I kind of echo Daniel's sentiments of what he tweeted earlier, like right around Christmas. This is the best schedule I've ever seen.
I'm so
WSOP
excited. It looks amazing.
It's incredible across the board. They really hit the mark of having 3 buy-in tiers.
Yeah.
There's this like ultra high roller tier of like 25Ks and above, and there's volume there. There's a solid. I want to say that there's at least 2 events a week on average. There might be more when you start to count the mixed games. It might be closer to like 24-ish big buy-in events. And then there's a lot of volume also at the like 2K to call it 10K range, the championship events. There's a lot of events there. And then for the casuals, there's a ton. There's almost a daily event. Granted, it's a fast structure, but there's almost a daily event of like 300 to 1,500.
I'm really excited for this year.
I'm afraid for you. This might be the one that just like Conrad short circuits on. Because like
Conrad doesn't short circuit.
Because like here's the thing, man. Like you are you're kind of a victim to yourself in the sense that no matter how much planning goes into it, no matter how much scheduling goes into it, no matter how much thought and dedication goes into leading a diligent path forward for the summer, you're gonna wake up one day and there's gonna be a 5K deuce to 7 triple draw, and you're just gonna fire it.
Yeah, what's your point? I'm gonna fucking get 9th to it probably.
And then you're gonna bust it.
I was just talking about yesterday about how like I'm gonna waste 3 days because I have the final table to deuce to 7th.
And then you're gonna bust it, and you're gonna fire a $600 ultra turbo.
Uh-huh.
And then when you bust that, you're going to max late reg of the Venetian 15. You might play 350 tournaments over the course of 6 weeks. And for that, I fear for you.
Oh, don't fear for me. I'm going to be fine, buddy. I was born for this shit.
I think you might be a zombie by September.
Oh, I will be zombied. I might get zombied, like, throughout the end. But I just, Barcelona. Then I go to Barcelona. I go take a nap, Florida then Barcelona.
Yeah.
So
do you have though like, okay, these are the marquee events that I know for sure I'm gonna play, and then you guys leave it open like, okay, I'm like flex, I might jump into this 1,500 here, I might do, because I have lots of friends, right, who sell packages in advance and sell pieces of themselves, and I'm always trying to understand, but so much of the schedule overlaps with so many things, and you don't know how deep you're gonna go, and you don't know exactly what's gonna happen. How do you even create the package? Like, you just These are the ones I'm for sure going to play, and then maybe you're also going to play like 25 other ones?
I usually just copy and paste the whole schedule and just put it together,
I need this much.
Yes, this is where we're going, and I'm going to try to play as much as, I'm going to try to go as deep as much as I can, but I want to play. Like,
but do you have a backer where you're like, okay, this is how much money I'm going to need?
Yes.
And it's kind of like an open checkbook?
No, but like if
you want to jump into the deuce to 7 and then like max late reg the 1,500 the next day, he or she is like, okay.
I'm going to put value.
Someone needs to put a goddamn leash on you, man. Someone needs to put a goddamn leash on you.
You can't put a leash on Conrad. There's no putting a leash on me. There's just none.
I mean,
you have the internet nowadays.
But what about you, Berkey? Do you sort of have an idea in advance of what you're going to play?
Here's the thing. For 15 years, I relished this day. Like, wrong word. Sorry. For 15 years, like I absolutely just like I put so much emphasis on this day. When the schedule came out, it was like, okay, time to get to work. And I would sit down and I would meticulously go through the schedule, and I would pick out all of the highest value events. And then I would see like how many more I thought I could reasonably add without burnout. I would try to schedule in days off like intermittently and, really be diligent to the cause. And I had a lot of success doing that. And somewhere around like 2015-ish, I was just well off enough where I could just always play a full schedule and not have to. So prior to that, it was like, okay, and I'm going to sell X amount to each event and like make sure that I'm operating proper bankroll management, et cetera, et cetera. So around like 2015, I had just been playing high stakes long enough and doing well enough where it was like, okay, I can just play a full schedule blind without even looking at it. So like I just started waking up and whatever event was running, I would probably play it. And
Okay, but every day there's at least 2 events starting. And for someone like you who could, say, jump into an event that's $25,000 or $5,000 or $1,500, where are the spots that you do find the most value for someone of your skill set and bankroll?
not playing. I mean, like honestly, every single year, I've lost that childlike feeling of Christmas, and it sucks because the World Series to me has always been the marquee pinnacle of this career, and it was always, I used to call it like the make or break part of the year. Like this was where we were going to make all of our money, or like 80% of our profit, be it cash or MTTs. It was always going to come in this 6-week stretch. So like you just strapped in and prepped for it. Now it's like last year I wrote 65 events on the schedule and I played like 14.
What
like,
are the ones that you're just for sure never missing?
All of the 6
5K,
max
6
events.
max, yeah.
All of the 6 max events for sure. So there's 4 of those, even though the 3K is a turbo and they don't call it such, which is so frustrating to me. But nevertheless, I won't miss any of those. I won't miss anything of a buy-in 1,500 or above for sure. And this year, more so than past years, there's a lot more volume there. Like
But you don't play mixed games, do you?
No. Sorry.
No, he leaves it
Strictly
up to
no
the
limit.
champs.
Okay.
Strictly no limit. I've never played a non-no limit World Series event
Until the short deck.
until the short deck, but hopefully I'm not playing it because I'm day 6ing WSOP or main event. But fingers crossed. But yeah, so like last year, I tried to incentivize myself by like trying to get bracelet bets. I was like, everybody thinks I suck anyway. Like I'm a no limit player only. Like I'm for sure gonna get long odds. I couldn't even get like unfair prices. Like I think 12-1. I'm just like torching money if I bet on myself at 12-1, and like that was crickets. So like I actually think I'm probably closer to like, I don't know, 25-1, unless you include online. And if you include online, maybe like 20-1 is fair. But
Are you trying to say that you're starting your campaign right now?
no, I really don't think I'll put in big volume at all. Like I can't tell you the last time I played a Venetian event during the summer. Like I just don't. That's not true. They had a WPT 5K there last summer, so I played 1. But like off property, I play like maybe 4 events total all summer. I can't do it. I want to play cash. There's a better chance that you see me on a Live at the Bike live stream during the summer than the 3 million guarantee monster or whatever the fuck it's called.
And are the cash
event.
games, so this year, right, having it at the Bally's in Paris, I think somehow I was less, oh no, I got COVID. I didn't see, I wasn't able to pay as much attention to the cash games. Are they still attracting great cash games?
No. Cash during the summer is
Dead.
it's so, what it is slow.
I couldn't
The
even
lists
tell
are
you.
deep and the euros are plenty.
And I think the mixed games have taken over a lot in the high stakes cash games during the WSOP.
Mixed games are a lot more player friendly in the sense that they're organized the same way private high stakes games are organized, but they are a lot more open to the public. And by public, I mean like professionals. They just kind of don't care, right? They're just like,
They're like gambly rich people.
yeah, like we're all battling on a fraction of an edge anyway, and you play fast, so you're welcome.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of stuff. It's tougher now more than ever to navigate. You have maybe not tougher. The hustle is different. When I was coming up, you could do both. You could spend the day playing tournaments and the night playing cash and do pretty well for yourself. But like if I've learned anything, it's as much as scheduling and preparing and all that stuff had served me in the past, it's over the top. Like scheduling an off days is silly. Life will give you an off day. I say this about the gym all the time, and like
Sure.
Henry was just in town for like a month, and he's so about it in his head, but like actually giving him that last little shove, there's friction there. You know, it'll be like, oh, you know, I'm really sore today, like I need a day off, or my recovery is really low, I need a day off, yada yada yada. It's just like I just constantly keep reiterating, bro, life will give you a day off when you need it. Like shit's gonna come up where you just cannot get to the gym, so front load as much of it as possible. And I think the same thing with tournaments. Like you're going to wake up one day and you are no longer going to want to go. And when the day that happens, like hang by the pool. It's kind of that easy, but we're not built for this, you know? And some people are. Like Deeb is built different. This guy's just built different, man. Like He lives for this 6 weeks, and he finds a way to like. He's Conrad. Maybe Conrad's like a derative of Deeb. Who knows? But like these guys they can just put in.
There's like a meme in there somewhere for sure.
100%.
Oh God, I love this shit. I'm getting so excited to sit here listening to all this WSOP talk, knowing that there's more tournaments when I get off a plane back in Vegas.
I will say one thing. I learned a big lesson last year playing the 500 housewarmer or whatever it was. First of all, very enjoyable experience, people wise.
Yeah,
very
great.
miserable experience, like play wise. The days are too long. Whatever. I'm not gonna poo-poo everything. It's Christmas Day. We have a schedule.
Yeah.
But I learned one thing. Like when I was trying to make bracelet bets, it was predicated off the idea that like I'm willing to go that extra mile and play like the down bad 500.
You're no longer willing.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
It just took 1 year.
There's no I don't even think I could make a bracelet bet because there's no fucking chance you're getting me to the Paris or Horseshoe on a Sunday to play a 1K 20-minute level turbo. Like it's just not happening. And honestly, you have a better chance of that happening than me playing a 6-day $300 event that has 20-minute levels, and the first day is like a 16-hour day. Like I'm not doing it, man. I'm not doing it.
How many entries does the 300 get?
Good question. Well, it's guaranteed 3 million, so they're predicting at least 10,000. But
I think it blows that out of the water.
yeah, I mean,
Didn't the housewarmer have more like 27,000 or something ridiculous?
I get them all confused between that and the Colossus and
Yeah,
the
you're right.
other
Me
small
too.
buy and stuff. The Colossus
Something got 27,000.
I think the
at some
Colossus
point.
is off the schedule this year, though. I didn't see it on there at first glance.
I didn't see it either.
So maybe this is taking place of it. But the Colossus just kept getting smaller and smaller buy-ins. It was like 600, 500, 300. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, Jack said in the announcement that they have more tables, more staff. So it seems like they're pretty confident that they're going to, staffing's always been an issue. The dealing thing has always been an issue. I've been saying for years, like, if you want to do something like this, make it like, what are they called? They do them in LA, quantums, right? So like you have the online platform available. Run the 300 leg of this online and get 20,000 people or whatever, and have it just like play into then a 3K buy-in. Where
Does the online have the capabilities to do that?
Probably not, but like,
They did a couple tournaments like that where it was mostly online, and then say like the final table played out live.
Yeah.
I think this.
I
last
said
year.
at some point in time the main event is going to get so big because we don't increase the price point and inflation just keeps getting worse. At some point the main event is going to get so large that they are going to be forced to take day one online. And you just play day one online, and then everybody who makes it through shows up day 2A and day 2B, whatever. And honestly, it doesn't seem terribly unreasonable.
I just think there's a large portion of player that's just not
Resistant.
as capable.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I wholeheartedly agree with that. I at some point though, we need to test these hybrid type of structures.
I don't think it should ever be in the main event, but yes.
Well, maybe not, but like
The smaller 300s and like 500s.
is it totally out of the question that at some point in time the main event has 30,000 runners?
I mean, it would just lose the feeling. Like, yeah.
But you would
it's
need
not out
that
of
because
question.
if inflation continues the way it's going, in order to make the prize even exciting, like we're gonna need 30,000 runners
Right.
at some point, right?
Yeah. And it's like, don't get me wrong, they handled 30,000 for the original Colossus, but it was also with a super fast schedule or a super fast structure, right?
And wasn't it like 10-handed?
10-handed,
Maybe 11.
multiple day ones, and you're getting butts out the door as fast as you're seating them.
But maybe the conversation, instead of does it need to go online, needs to be, does it need to be more expensive?
Maybe. I think for the time being, 10,000 is still a lot of money.
Yeah.
Even with inflation, and
I would say it's a lot
and
of
keeping the
money.
tradition what it is, I think is worth a lot. There was discussion of like doing multiple different venues, so like having a day one at like all the Caesars properties.
That would be dope.
Would you be pumped to be at the like you get your ticket and it's like you're at the Flamingo? Fuck.
Or like you're at Bally's. Sorry, guys.
Wait, that's where it's at.
I know. That's what I mean, though. Like, if there was all the Caesars properties choices, like,
Oh,
I
it's
would be
also
like-
not Bally's anymore. It's Horseshoe.
yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right. Branding.
They're bringing it back. I actually really like the idea of bringing back the horseshoe.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like
Nostalgia.
Yeah, there's a lot of nostalgia they can steer into. We talk about this a lot, but Landon knows like no poker history.
Colossus at the end of June. Sorry.
Oh, they are running it still.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'll be out of town that weekend. See, life gives you off days. So does the schedule.
Hey guys, Connie Deeb does exist.
Wow. Wow. Let's go, dude. Now that's a guy I think I could be friends with. Not Conrad or Deeb, but Connie Deeb. That's a man I'd break bread with.
Oh my gosh, you're so cute.
How high is Connie Deeb?
Dude.
What is wrong
How
with
high
Connie
and how
Deeb?
hungry?
Snacks.
Oh, man. All right. We have a final table to talk about.
Oh. Nacho!
I'm so happy for him. I'm so happy for the high stakes cash community in Vegas. Nachito! Nacho leads the way here at the final table. Do you guys, have you seen the final table list yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know any of them?
Besides Jose Ignacio Barbero.
Wow. I'm so happy that you pronounced his name because I'm just going to keep calling him Nacho.
Yeah, yeah.
I would never get the rest right.
Actually, it's amazing. It's legit. It says Nacho like
It does.
everywhere as if that's the name. And I'm like, you guys know his name's Ignacio, right? Like Nacho is the nickname, but all of the outlets, it's just accepted now that his
Yeah.
name is Nacho.
Oh, that's what happens. You know, you lean in and suddenly like everybody just respects it.
Okay, so there was, when I first came into the space, maybe like 13 years ago, there was the Latin American Poker Tour was still kind of popping off. Like people were traveling to the Latin American Tour the same as they do the EPT. And they had ambassadors, PokerStars did, from the Latin American Poker Tour, of which Jose Ignacio Barbero was one of them, Maria Mayrink, Veronica Dabul. I was going through my mind yesterday trying to remember all these. Grillo, who I actually saw here a couple days ago too. The Latin American contingent, I think, comes to the Bahamas. But yeah, not everybody stayed in the game. Not everybody made it through 13 years. And Jose Ignacio Barbero is still there. And according to things I've read, the most experienced player at the final table. And experience is a relative term if we want to talk about semantics. I don't know exactly what that implies.
Well, I think
is
we're
it
talking about
age
salt and pepper hair there,
yeah,
you know?
like, is it age or is it results? I don't know, but he's got a couple of Latin American tours under his belt for sure. I think he won a bracelet last year.
He did win a bracelet last year. That is correct. He's coming in as the chip leader. He won back-to-back LAPTs back in the day whenever they had signed him. And I know him from a high stakes or from like the high stakes cash scene. I didn't even realize he was a Stars Pro at any point. I had no idea he was an MTT player at one point. I just knew him as a guy who gambled.
Yep.
And I'm very happy for him. I saw him in the bathroom on day 3 when I came in short. And he was like asking about my stack or something like that. I was like, I have like 15 bigs. And he's like, buckle down. I'm like, yeah, I guess I should care. He's like, this is a big event. I'm like, yeah, I get it. But like, you know, I just accept my reality that 15 big blinds dies a lot. But he seemed very focused, and it's showing up in the chip counts. The other 5 that you may not be familiar with are Nicholas Thumb from Germany. He's actually a Platinum Pass winner.
Okay.
And a Twitch streamer as well.
Oh, Fleshy. Is that him?
Is that his name?
I know, because when Tom Parsons, who was the Irish Platinum Pass winner, busted, I said, who are you rooting for? You know, who's next? And he said the other streamer, Fleshy.
Oh, it must be then. Okay. Big shout out to him. He looks like he's just having a blast. I was reading his interview that you know, this is basically life-changing money to him. Well, obviously at this point it's $1 million, but like when they had interviewed him, they were like, you know, fresh in the money. So it's like 6 figures was going to be a big deal to him. Now he's guaranteed $1 million. And you know, we were kind of talking about this. It'll lead us into our GPI conversation once we speak a little bit more about the final table. But these content creators they're a different breed. You know, they really are this hybrid where, yeah, poker matters, but it's also just kind of the vehicle to them getting their content out in the space. So a big influx of money changes what you're capable of doing whenever you're out on the stream day in and day out. It changes your buy-in levels, changes the volume you put in. And most importantly, it changes your production value a lot.
I was just gonna say, it changes your gear. Maybe you get yourself an editor now.
Yeah, imagine I can imagine doing all the thumbnails, doing all the clips, doing all
Who would do that?
Right. And then just having the ability to, hire someone, that's worth a lot.
Yeah.
It's like a very big deal for him for sure. He, I believe, is last in chips with 1.8 million. Yeah, that's actually factual. Felipe Pizzari from Brazil comes in just slightly third in chips with 12 million. He is an experienced professional as far as I can tell. Matt was saying there are a lot of Brazilians here, something in the neighborhood of like 50. So seeing one of them make the final table, not really all that shocking. 37 years old, it's obviously been in the game for quite some time. This is a bit of an older final table, actually. So Nacho's 40, Felipe's 37. Max Menzel, the other Platinum Pass winner at the final table, pretty wild. He, I believe, is 39 years old. He is a businessman who is a very serious, I don't even want to say recreational, but a very serious weekend warrior, so to speak. He's been playing cash games in Macau for the better part of a decade, so he's certainly got some chops. This isn't your average Platinum Pass winner, as best I can tell. He's going to come in fifth in chips with 5 million. Pretty amazing to see two Platinum Pass winners at the final table. I know, percentage-wise, 40% of the field is Platinum Pass winners, but still, you don't
also
expect
variance is kind of a thing.
Yeah, and variance is kind of a thing, but, there should be, 2's a lot.
2 is a lot.
2 out of 6?
I don't know. I feel like as many EPTs and things as I've covered, it's really standard, I would say, among the players to end up with two non-poker players.
I think I'm just so fixated on the fact that for as one individual, one of one, it's impossible to make this final table. Mm-hmm. But they are 2 of 400. So you could swap them out for any of the other 398 other Platinum Pass winners and we'd be saying the same thing. Yeah. But for me individually, to say oh, Berkey made the final table, it's yeah, that's fucking hard. It's really hard.
It's the same. I mean, I did bust out interviews with most of the guys who were leaving yesterday. And, I think for a lot of them, it was yeah, okay, I had to get really lucky anyways to get here.
Yeah.
And for some of them, it was really heartbreaking and devastating.
Sure.
And which, I can also get and understand. But and interestingly, of course, it was mostly the real professionals who were pretty salty about busting when really they are the ones who should probably know and understand that it's really unlikely that they're going to be in that spot.
I think for us, though, it's we just buy in and then we hope for the best and leave it up to the deck a little bit and hope that our skill shines through. Where for the Platinum Pass winners, they've already ran through such a parlay to even be here. And it obviously probably feels like a free roll to a lot of them. But when you just think of the sheer, for whichever one of these guys performs the best, and they've both made seven figures at this point. When you think of the actual parlay of events, if you were to break this down into a sports bet, you're hitting a 12-teamer. It's just it's insane.
Yeah.
You're really breaking the laws of numbers. Now, obviously, because there were going to be 400 Platinum Pass winners, and because some of them were going to be relatively competent at poker, this was likely to happen to someone. But to be that one, to be the chosen one, is just such an improbable event. This is what dreams are made of,
And then you wake up one morning and you're Jose Ignacio Barbero. And
He's
here you
gonna
are.
win it. He's going to win it. I feel good about it. I'm telling you.
I mean, he does have 19 million chips.
Dude, the chip winner never wins. This
true.
is my theory about final tables. Whoever comes in with the chip lead, I'm never rooting for that guy. I don't know.
Is that why he doesn't win?
The amount of poker tournaments I've covered, I would argue it is so the vast majority of the time that the chip leader, even though it makes no mathematical sense, is not the winner.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough to say. Well, when you're the chip leader, the way ICM works is you're the most likely to finish first, but you're also the most likely to finish second, to finish third, etc., and the least likely to finish last. So it's you're just going to see varying results, and we still, to this day, haven't really seen much of a sample size. Even if we were to go back all 20 years and look at every single event, what are we talking about? 10,000 maybe?
I even always, it's easy to always, for me, it's always easy to remember the main event final tables.
Yeah.
And I could probably name maybe on just a couple fingers the times that the main event winner was the chip leader. In
Joe
the last
McKean.
10 years, I don't even think it happened once.
Joe McKean,
Okay, maybe once. He came in the chip leader.
massive chip leader. He
Honestly,
steamrolled.
his interview, his winner interview was so bad and so good at the same time. I think I completely like just blacked out that tournament. I fucking love this guy. I'm like, okay, so this is huge. You know, this is a life-changing moment for everyone. This is everyone's dream. You know, how does this change your life? And he just goes, I've got a lot more money. I was like, all right, that's it. Interview over.
Yes, you do.
And this is
Moving
going nowhere.
on.
This is going nowhere. But yeah, okay, maybe Jose wins. Maybe. We're not going to do a podcast tomorrow, so we won't know.
That's
but
true.
In our group chat, if Jose doesn't win, I'll be like, told you guys.
We'll definitely discuss it on Monday when we're back in full swing. The two other players rounding it out are Pedro Marquez from Portugal. He has 10 million, and it's his birthday today.
Wow.
Oh,
That might be the pick to click. I have to say, I don't believe in birthday run good. I believe in the exact opposite. I have to be down 7 figures on my birthday, without question. Every January, there's a big poker trip. It used to be at the Borgata, and Borgata is for sure the only hotel casino in the entire world that I'm a net loser at, and it's big. It's a big number.
It's a gaping hole.
It's a big number. I'm never gonna financially recover from this. And I played on my birthday this year because I'm an idiot. Like, had no intentions of playing. 7 o'clock rolls around. I'm just getting ready to wrap up the workday, and they're like, "Oh, there's a game on the app," and I'm like, "Fine." And I lost 12 buy-ins. That's a lot of buy-ins.
Yep.
Hard
That's
to lose 12
way too many buy-ins.
Way too many buy-ins. Birthday run good, not a thing. But maybe for Pedro. I think he finishes 6th or 1st. That's the way birthday works. You either run really good or really bad.
Yep.
So he's either going to finish 1 or 6.
Your birthday was on Saturday.
Sunday.
Yeah.
The final...
Sad.
I know. The final player who comes in second in chips, and I am not going to get this correct, Alexander Shiklo. And
That's a tough one.
I really wanted to get this right because I played with him on day 1 of the PCA main. And I have to tell you, he is the sweetest kid on earth. We ran into this hand where I had bet most of his stack on the river with like 20 seconds left on the clock before break. And he just goes, "Oof, I'm so sorry. I need to take a minute. I know we're about to go on break. I really apologize, but this is going to take me a couple minutes." I was just like,
Totally fine.
you have at it. I also had the nuts. So I was like, take as much time as you need, young man.
Young man.
Well, he's only 26. But he's from Belarus, and he did end up calling me incorrectly. By incorrectly, I mean I had the best hand.
You mean Belarus?
Oh, yeah.
What have you ever seen those sea creatures with whiskers and like tusks? What would you call those?
Seals?
Tusks, man. Tusks. Tusks.
Whales?
This is like the fiddle flute conversation. Walruses. You know what a walrus is? A
Yes.
walrus, if you will. I'm just curious how you would pronounce it. Anyway, Alec, as I'm going to refer to him, and I'm sure, I hope most of his friends refer to him. Really nice kid, comes in second in chips. He would be my dark horse.
Okay.
Simply because he was nice to me.
That doesn't happen often.
Not even nice. It wasn't even that he was nice. He was respectful. He was respectful of the time, of the break. I really appreciated that. And I don't think he wasted a single second.
And the breaks are 22 minutes, which when I used to cover the EPTs and PCAs, they were 20 minutes even. Does anyone know the story? Where did the 22-minute break
They
come
probably start it the second it's supposed to be started, and they just make it 22 minutes so all the hands can run out.
from?
I don't know if that's...
I don't know if that's
accurate or
true,
not,
but that's just me talking.
I didn't know they were all 22 minutes either. It seemed like the breaks were like varying. sometimes we have a 20-minute break, sometimes we have a 75-minute break.
And then yesterday I saw it just was 20 minutes, but I had seen it was 22 for like day 1, 2, and 3, and I was like, 22? I mean, it's my lucky number, but I was just like, that feels like a random, there must be a story or something.
I'm sure I imagine, well, who knows? Maybe they're just fucking with us.
That could also
maybe they just like sit back there and go, what can we do today to really blow their minds?
23. Let's see if anyone notices.
Let's just add a minute 30 to break. Who gives a shit? But a lot of the breaks, there was such a big crowd anyway. A lot of the breaks, they would pause it with like 10 seconds left on the clock and like wait for the room to fill back up. Wow. It was a lot. They did a great job, honestly. Like, huge congratulations to the Stars. I think this was a huge success. I hope in the future they take player feedback and they run the PCA main after the PSPC. But we'll see. It's fine as is. I really think the PSPC gets bigger and better. As does the PCA main, if they run it in reverse.
Let the satellite winners play first.
Glen wouldn't be going home, man.
Yeah,
Glen would not be going home. He'd be firing mega stacks right now to get into the 10K PCA main.
That's true.
While grinding an $80 tournament on his phone.
You have a very good point, Matthew Berkey.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it.
Because what's not happening is people coming in early to play a bunch of satellites to play the 25K.
Yeah.
People who come here already have a ticket or they already have a buy-in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the only people playing those satellites is like me trying to save. And even I didn't do it. But that's just my opinion. Really excited to see the final table play out. I'm not sure what the blinds are, but it seems like it's relatively flat as far as chip stacks go. Like, Nacho doesn't have a huge lead. His 19 to 12. It's sizable, but like, it's not 2-1, 3-1 over the field or anything along those lines. And based off the fact that who is it? Nicholas comes in with 1.8 million. I'm guessing if I had to take a shot in the dark, that big blind is probably around 100K, and that's 18 blinds, which would give Nacho then about 100 blinds. That seems like that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
I could see a world where maybe the blinds are twice that amount, and Nacho has like 50 bigs, but if that's the case, this is going to be a very fast final table. So fingers crossed for the former, not the latter. I'm here to...
Depending on who you are.
Well, I'm not here to cover it, so I want it to last as long as possible. I ain't playing it, and I ain't covering it, so keep it rolling, baby. We need the content.
It's true.
Let's get some hands out there. All right, the last thing I want to talk about today, and we were talking a little bit off air, I know that you have some thoughts to guide the conversation a bit, is the GPI Awards finalists were announced. The Only Friends podcast is in there for Podcast of the Year. We are 1 of 4. Let's go, baby! Congratulations, team.
You dig.
Even though I'm just congratulating today, Guapo and Conrad, to everybody who's back home, the Tortoise, Landon, Christian, Melissa, Andre, who's in Malaysia.
The Malaysian ankle biter?
He's in Malaysia, biting ankles. I appreciate you. I appreciate all the work that you guys put in. Landon actually sent us his appreciation from Florida, a little bit of motivation for us in order to get prepared for Podcast of the Year.
Go to the fucking gym. Go to the fucking gym. Go to the fucking gym. Yeah, I see you. I see you. Go to the fucking gym.
Like if we took Heath and Landon and made a mashup, that's what we would find.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, that would
Nailed
be
it.
I'm on it.
But no, like I'm very, very proud of what we were able to accomplish in a year. I'm super thrilled to be a finalist this year. We were on the nominee list for the last 3 years when Christian and I were doing the vlogcast. Never actually made it to the final round, so I'm pumped that we are being recognized a little bit for this stupid project that I never thought would amount to anything, and somehow is 200 shows in.
It is work. And I think even the more I've trained people and brought people into just different forms of like media production, and I think everyone comes in like super excited and like, oh, making content's gonna be so fun, and doing a podcast is what I really want to do. And I think from the outside looking in, it always seems cool and fun because you see like the end project, but this is an incredible amount of work, a labor of love. And I've been telling everyone forever, Berkey, I can remember I still had red hair. So this has got to be easily like 5 or 6 years ago, talking with you one summer, and you were really invested in making really quality content in a lot of different formats. I remember they were following you, maybe you and Justin Young, and kind of just a look at like a World Series experience, what that's like, what those like ups
Jordan,
and downs.
Yeah.
I call him Justin.
Yeah.
Fuck, I do that all the time with the like double name people.
Yeah, it was me, Jordan,
like
Christian.
Luke and Noah Schwartz. But
same.
But you were talking. I remember you saying to me like, you know, content, so you can invest so much time, you can make it really quality, you can invest so much money, and still like you get nowhere. And then sometimes like garbage does really well. And I just think you've put in a lot of work, and it's taken a long time to like exactly find the place and exactly find, you know, what it is that you guys are really good at and what it is that people really want. And I'm like, I give you so much props for you. It's very well deserved, is what I'm saying. Look at that tree.
Do you know what would guarantee us future victories?
Yeah. I mean, you guys you're gonna win this one.
No. It would be you coming on the podcast more often, because you have been awesome for the last couple of days.
I love these.
Agreed.
Guys.
Thank you, Sarah.
so much.
I have to say, I was waiting for like the good picture. I'm gonna get a good picture, but I was gonna tweet out. This has no doubt been the highlight of the experience for me here. And even though like we're getting home at 1, 2 in the morning sometimes, and I'm like, I gotta get up early for the pod, I'm never waking up like, man, God, I really don't want to go in and do this. Like, I'm always just like, oh, I wonder what we've like got going today.
That's how we rope you in. Wait till like episode 37.
I know what you're talking about. I'm at 210, and I'm like, let's go to the podcast.
Yeah, I'm usually excited to do it. There are definitely days where it's like I'm running late. I still have to come up and run a show. Like it gets to be a lot. Thank you, by the way, for the acknowledgement. I appreciate it. I really just wanted a platform for a bunch of inside jokes, and I have to tell you, it all took off.
Oh, dude, nailed that.
The
That
tortoise,
has been nailed.
the fiddle, like we got so much running.
Tortuga, even I like am in on the jokes now. It only took a week.
Tortuga. I have no voice. My God.
I'm so sad about that as well. When talking about the content space, though, I do think that, you know, first and foremost, I think we can acknowledge that us as elder millennials, so to speak,
yes,
we've seen this whole transition play out. Like we were first foot in the door with social media as a whole, with Facebook, everything else. We were the trial group. And now we've seen it evolve into this multimedia platform where everything now is being shared via video, via voice if you're talking podcast. Like blogs have turned into pods. Everything else has like kind of become video format. Like away messages are effectively becoming stories now. We're really living a voyeuristic type of life, and poker has always, in my opinion, kind of been like one step behind the rest of the creative spaces. And I never understood why. Like, why is the makeup community so far advanced compared to this game where hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars are exchanging hands? Like, why is the same true of sports arenas and gaming and all of these other areas where like there's just like a high interest level? And I think what I realize it comes down to is the youth. It's always the youth, right? So the reason why these other arenas are so elevated and so much more advanced with the content that they're putting out to the consumer is because it's youth friendly, right? And with poker, we try to shelter kids from this game because it falls into the gambling umbrella. I think that we've done a lot to lift that stigma in the last like 5 to 10 years, where it really is seen as a strategic game. I think chess blowing up has helped us, and we should ride those coattails as much as possible. And in the last 2 or 3 years, we've seen a ton of advancement now in this space, content creation wise. People like Marley and Caitlin with these well put together creative skits where, you know, they're sort of, or I shouldn't say sort of, they are like classically trained. This is what they originally had a passion for prior to falling into this game. So like seeing that stuff evolve, Greg Goes All In is another good example of that. This evolution that's taking place, we're finally catching up to everybody else. And I noticed in the GPI awards that we're still a step behind, I think. we kind of talk about this every year. It's not a knock against them. It's a very difficult task to undertake. But I think it's finally time to have the conversation where we really understand with a different lens what the GPI Awards is celebrating. I think it originated as kind of a tip of the cap to the people who are doing all the thankless work in the industry, right? The tournament directors, the people who oversee everything, the production houses like what Maury runs at PokerGo and everything else along the way. And then they threw a few bones to the people in the community where it's like, okay, let's give them the player of the year. Like when we won Dead Money, we won, I think, like best media category of some sort, which is weird. We certainly weren't media at the time, and we were up against a photo, a book, and an article. Yeah. And it's just like,
and that wasn't even that long ago.
No, yeah, that was like 2016. So like in the 6-year iterations, I think that was the second GPI award, so 7 years. We're obviously getting better at it, but I think that the conversation that needs to be framed, and this is kind of like what we were talking about off air, is that there are multiple corners to this industry. There's the player side, and I think that they do a reasonably good job of acknowledging those who are really great at the game. I think there's room to expand significantly, in my opinion. Cash game players have no acknowledgement whatsoever. Online players have no acknowledgement whatsoever. And I think that that's a huge miss, a really, really, really big miss. So I would like to see those kind of expand a little bit and derivatives thereof. Like, let's not be greedy with the awards. Let's get them out there.
Yeah.
People, the Grammys aren't sitting there going like, we got too many.
We're not talking about bracelets here, guys. We can give out lots and lots of these, without diminishing. And I honestly, Matt, I think you hit the nail on the head so much and I have to say prior to say 6 months ago, I was also it sounds so, and I feel like everyone who used to say this, and I would hear them say this about the awards, that it's kind of like insidery, or when you compare this to say like the Screen Actor Guild and you're like, oh, it's political or whatever. I will say, as being an insider in the industry, I think 6 months ago, I would say I was really missing a lot of what is happening out there. And when I saw some of the nominees and categories and things this year, I do think one of the biggest gaps as an industry as a whole, and certainly we're seeing this through the GPI, is that there is this like insidery thing, and it's completely missing the like 18 to like 30 audience, and that is the audience that is growing the fastest.
Right.
That is the audience that is the most capable of. I was just talking with someone about this yesterday. They're just figuring shit out because like they know how to just like use the phones and like how to make.
Also the trendsetters.
Yes,
in every aspect of it. Right? Whether you're talking about strategy or you're talking about what will drive the marketing in this space or content creation as a whole, like they're the visionaries in a lot of ways.
I couldn't believe, so I was just looking for people to bring onto my team, and I was like, okay, where do I start? Like I want people that are already making content and kind of know poker. So I just started going on TikTok, going on Instagram, looking at what are the hashtag pokers, who are the people I'm getting recommended. There are probably 15 to 20 people, and we don't have to use followership as a gauge, but that have 50,000 or more followers, right, on some of these platforms that I had never seen, never heard of, had no idea who they were. And I'm watching their stuff just like, this is gold, this is genius, this stuff is so good. And, if as an industry we don't start bringing those people into the like quote unquote inside, we are going to die like a dinosaur death. Yeah. And I think that's the next major move as a space we all need to be working on. And I do think you're right, actually. I didn't even consider that maybe a big part of it is that we've all been so like, oh, you've got to be 18. Are you like, did you age gate your content?
Right.
Or it's so unfortunate.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot that we can do to this point. Like, I know that we had worked in the past with this online poker tour. The name is escaping me now, so that's bad. But it basically is specifically for university students. So there's a massive market there. But also, I think like the way that the GPI is currently being created is starting as we said with like the brass and trying to give them recognition, realizing that the next form of that is the players, and then just like kind of like letting the rest meld in. And to me there just needs to be like clear lines segregating the players from corporate, from the media, from the creators.
Yeah.
There's way too much competition in these awards right now, or I guess mislabeling, where content creators are being lumped in with news media and being forced to compete. And I don't think that our category is a great example of it, but it's one that you could at least point to, where it's like it's our show and it's the chip race, which we're both very independent, obviously. But then it's like Poker Go podcast, and I think the other one might have been the Poker News podcast. I don't recall.
I don't think so. I have to go back, but it's nominated on the longer list, I think, every year. But I think it doesn't. Did it make the short?
Poker Go Pod, Chip Race Pod, and Poker in the Ears.
Poker in the Ears.
Poker in the Ears. So Poker Stars, right. So, and that's not to say that they don't deserve it. To be fair, I don't really. I listened to James and Stapes. I think they're fantastic. They definitely deserve any accolades that are thrown their way. I haven't really listened to the new Poker Go podcast, but my whole point is like from the outside, from the optics, from the outside looking in, it looks like two content creators versus two industry corporations, and that's weird to me, right? Like, I don't necessarily know that there should be separate categories, but there's 200 poker podcasts. Does it hurt for there to be two separate categories? You know what I mean?
Yes. And I think actually content is one of the spaces where things are evolving and shifting so fast that even because I can remember there was a lot of discussion, and I can't remember what the exact categories were, but basically it was during this time where vlogs were really booming.
Yeah.
And vloggers were competing with
like Ingram would get like nominated for Vlogger of the Year. This guy's never made a vlog in his life.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just a lot of misplaced categories.
And I think there's like media content of the year, right?
Yeah.
And I think they've now started to be like, okay, we have a photo, like you talked about the year where it was like a book versus a picture. So now we have like the best photos and then the best
articles,
video. But even now, as we're looking at videos, we're looking at something that's 30 seconds that went up on Twitter and TikTok, which is competing with something that maybe, is a 90-minute documentary. And I also think that's a really tough comparison.
It's an impossible one.
Really, because
one takes like 12 months of your life to like plan and film and edit and all this other stuff, and the other one was a shower thought that got like recorded in a mirror.
Even how they do at the Screen Actors Guild, right? Even comparing, say, dramas with comedies and things like this, it's extremely complicated because what's the bar you're setting for what's a good piece of content, right? Okay, this thing cracked me up and it was 30 seconds, but this thing made me cry and it was super. And how do I compare those two things in a way that the bar is fair for everyone? And I think I think we've really struggled with, and I can say for my own self, winning Poker Journalist of the Year was amazing, but like, I don't think I'm a journalist, right? I would have I don't know, I think my role or my job is quite hard to define or distinguish, but I think when I look at the broadcaster category, I think there's a lot of room and space in there also. And I think you and I have actually talked about this, putting someone like Jamie Kurtzstetter, for example, up against more like standard.
I think this is very clear to me. There should be a category for Broadcaster of the Year for produced content, Broadcaster of the Year for streamed content, and then like Presenter of the Year or On-Camera Presenter of the Year. Right. So like, you might fall a lot more into On-Camera Presenter of the Year rather than Journalist of the Year.
Right.
The journalists should be the people who are like,
this is Brad Willis, this is Lance Bradley, this is like people, Haley Hintz, people who are digging into stories.
People who are doing research, like Robbie just did this researched article for GG. Like, that should be a minimum qualification for Journalist of the Year or something along those lines. I think going back to like the video of the year, like I think we just missed the mark, and it should be abundantly clear whenever we see how the nominees shake out. Like, Joey was nominated for the Robbie Lou investigation video or whatever. 100% belongs in some sort of category for accolades, but not this one. He's up against Marley's Solver video.
Right.
Like, this is insane to compare these two.
Okay, let me just ask you, so we can keep things spicy and juicy. And I'm not saying you were on the panel of voting, but if you were, I don't know what's like a secret, but if you were, if I were let's just say, I would have ended up choosing content that was slightly similar and then basically just deciding to vote on those pieces of content, like as in separate. For you, if you're having to compare Marley and Joey, how did you do it?
I basically like this is maybe a bad way of going about it, but I basically thought about it in a way of, if this person didn't exist in this space, would this have been missed or picked up by somebody else? So like, if Marley didn't exist, would somebody have made the Solvers video? Almost certainly not. If Joey wasn't here, would somebody have done an investigation? 100%.
Yeah.
And that's not to slight Joey and his talents, because I think he's the best at it. And I think that he absolutely deserves to be recognized for what he did during that 2-week stretch. And I think that he should be nominated for something. And honestly, like, it could have been a category all on its own. There was so much content around that one thing. And even if you don't make it that one thing, like, here's not to like be annoyed, but like, it wasn't just that one thing. There was the whole Ali and Jake thing from earlier this year too that got a ton of media coverage. It's like, between those two things alone, you could have an entire category of news or whatever you want to call it. Like,
dude, this is the same thing that happens with the Oscars though, right? Where there's like a timing, like people release their, like, we have a season, right, where like all the best movies are about to come out, because then they're still hot when the Oscars voting and stuff is happening. And I was thinking the same thing. Even, I mean, to be honest, when all this stuff was happening with Bryn in like April or whatever of last year, I was like, oh my gosh, there's going to be so much crazy, amazing content, that's going to come from this. And this is all people are going to talk. And then by the time like the awards come, it's like, we care a lot more about, okay, like Robbie Jade happened after that. So that's like what's popping off. That's what we care about now. And that sort of, even that, I think, is just clearly more indication of how we are obsessed with social media and how content and things are shifting and changing so fast, and we're like on to the next, dude. Yeah.
I think ultimately what I'm trying to articulate, and maybe I'm not doing a great job because I'm focusing on micro examples rather than bigger picture conversations, is that the many different arenas within the space of poker, I don't think are being like fairly represented whenever it comes down to the awards, right? So like, content creators, I think, are like really being overlooked, and this kind of speaks to your point. Like, somebody like Next Gen Poker, they've been crushing it forever. They have millions and millions and millions of views on TikTok. Their YouTube shorts are absolutely killing it. They've never even been mentioned.
That's what I've been saying. This was one of the biggest examples I was saying yesterday. I was like, how has Next Gen over the last few years never been, and also just what they're doing for the game. Yeah. They're bringing in so many people. They're out there like doing the work on the hard streets of Texas, having meetup games, working the socials. When I saw them in Vegas, not
even fair to put them in Vlogger of the Year category, because that's not what they do. Like, they're churning out 30-second clips over and over and over again. Like, yeah, they do have some longer stuff, and yeah, they do vlog, but like, the
TikTok, the short form, this needs to be its own category.
Short form films.
Videos less than 90 seconds need to be its own category, I think. And who's creating that content?
Yeah, short form content, long form content, investigative content versus entertaining content. Like, there's just no reason not to give everybody their flowers in some sort of regard. And we have enough competition within those categories where I think that like, it's good. It gets the community engaged, because at the end of the day, all this is about is not handing awards out to people within the industry and not demonstrating some level of recognition. That's nice. We all care about that a little bit, but what it's really about is the thousands of people who will watch this live and be turned on to somebody new and start having a new favorite player or a new favorite vlogger to follow, or what, like, they don't care.
And what about poker personalities? Is that an award? Because we talk about, I'm always trying to think, how do we award and reward cash game players?
Well, the personality one is unfortunate because it's
usually it's like a vlogger, right? Or
no, it's the opposite. It's a fan vote, which is a good thing. I think that part is a good thing. The problem is that actually, I'm not even sure about how they could go about fixing this as long as they leave it up to being a fan vote. But basically, it's the category that like Jonathan Little just like leverages his email list for every single year.
Oh yes, I've heard this. Yes.
So he has like 100,000 people on his email list, and he just campaigns really fucking hard, and then gets like poker personality of the year, and it's just like, it's is that really reflective of like what's going on here?
And
you know
is
what I mean?
it really? I have to say, even too, part of what I think about it and look up to is, has this person already won an award? Because there's so many people that need to be highlighted, and that actually, if you're being really realistic, shouldn't matter.
Right, no,
Whoever did the most that
I
year.
hope Jamie wins Twitter personality every single year, because like it's the same thing with her and Shulman. I hope that they win every single year, because I know neither one of them wants to win it that badly. Right? So it's like, actually, I think Dankness deserves to win Twitter personality of the year, but I still hope it's Jamie.
Yeah.
Just for the third year in a row, where she has to keep going up there, like questioning if she's going to keep putting out these snarky tweets or not, because she has to deal with the award. And like, same thing with Shulman. Like last year, I remember emailing Eric going like, hey man, this might be a little bit embarrassing, but like, you left Shulman off the Commentator of the Year award. What the fuck are you doing? And he's like, he asked to be left off. And I'm like, oh, okay, that makes so much more sense. And now he's back on there and immediately back in the finals, because like, he's the fucking GOAT.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't even talk about this, but huge shout out to Nick, as he's the new voice of High Stakes Poker, taking over for Gabe. I couldn't think of anybody better. Yep. I mean, he really is the absolute best at his craft that we have in this space right now. And that's not to say it's always going to be that way. Somebody is probably going to work harder and train a little. It's going to be the only thing that they do, right? Nick is still an elite world-class poker player on top of it, right? But he's just so good, so functionally good, and so capable of filling time like no one I've ever seen in my life. To me, he's like Mike Sexton on steroids, in the sense that, like, you know, he's not doing the produced content. He's doing live streams for 10, 12 hours at a time.
Which is
just
such
crushing.
its own skill. Oh my gosh, it's such its own skill.
It really
and
is.
even the difference between the color and what is the official name of the guy who's
Analyst,
just like
I
keeping
guess?
it going the whole time? Yeah, I mean, even those are
right. Yeah,
two
sorry.
such different jobs that
The play-by-play, yeah.
Yeah, the play-by-play.
Yeah.
And they're so different, in my opinion, than the people who are doing the sideline stuff. That also is a very hard thing to do, but in a completely different way.
Totally agree with you. That's another thing where it's like, I think we could take that in another step further, and like, because Commentator of the Year to me is like a really important award.
Yeah.
As far as like with how streaming is really cropping up and becoming so popular, I do think it would be important to separate both produced versus streamed, as well as color from play-by-play. Because like, if you look at the finalists, I think it's Shulman, Kerstetter, Platt, and James Harding. And of those four, Jamie and Shulman are analysts. Platt and James are play-by-play. And it's like, how do you compare the two? Because it's like, I would look at that four, and it's like, man, I could find so many great pairings here. You know, like it'd be awesome to see like Platt and Jamie work together, or James and Jamie work together, or Platt and Shulman. You know what I mean? It's like, these all go really well, but like Jamie and Shulman, it's like, now I feel like I'm missing an element. And Platt and James, like, now I feel like I'm missing an element. You know, so it's, I'd like to see it. I just want to see it keep evolving.
Yeah.
I think it's a big enough deal in the space that it should.
I think so too. And I think we're only talking about it and giving it time and energy because it is awesome and important and valuable, and that as a community we should be talking about what's the best way that we can honor and highlight the people that are doing so much for the game. Yeah,
especially I know we keep leaning back to it, but like, especially the players and the content creators, because for most of them, they're putting in 200 plus days a year into those crafts. And when you look across the board, there are very, very, very few people with multiple nominations. So it's like, you know, if you're creating content 5 days a week, if you're playing poker 5 days a week, and like, you're elite, I'm even talking at the elite level. Like, if you look at the elite level, it's not like Daniel DeVoris is nominated for 6 different things. You know what I mean? And the same thing on the content side. It's like, Marley's nominated for 2 things, but they're very different things. Like, she's Twitter Personality of the Year and Best Video. So it's like,
although I would argue that a lot of comedic content translates itself very well into a nice
totally
Twitter
agree.
feed.
Totally agree. I'm not trying to say she doesn't belong there. What I am trying to say is that, like, I think we force a lot of things into these certain categories so that there's an opportunity to be nominated multiple times.
Yeah.
I'll end on this, but like, for us, Poker Out Loud's never been nominated for anything, and it probably never will be. But it's far and away the most popular thing on our YouTube. You know, like not even remotely close. This show, don't get me wrong, it's my baby and I'm proud of it. Like we get 10 to 12,000 viewers per episode, but like we have Poker Out Louds that have like 80, 90,000 views. And it's never even once thought of. So there's just no category for it. Where does it fit? You know what I mean? It's not going to beat something that's funny. It's not going to fit with something that's funny. And it's not going to fit into a poker stream because it's not a stream. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. I just think there's a lot of room or a lot of meat on the bone for us to keep fleshing this out.
Yes. More. We need more.
Go to the gym.
And maybe like, yeah, go to the fucking gym. But also maybe some sort of, and this is something I think overall, you know, we've spoken about. Poker.org is putting together a player advisory board. And one of the things that you had said is the most important element of that to you is creating a space where industry people, poker players, people who make decisions in the forms of tournament or casinos or whatever, that we have more of these space for group communication essentially.
Yeah.
And I would argue that probably it's not a dissimilar thing from, I think, sending out these emails and you know, you've got 3 days to vote or whatever it is. I think it would be awesome to have like, let's do a big Zoom call or whatever. Let's get 150 people in the industry or 200 people or whatever it is. Let's start a thread somewhere, something where we could have a conversation about the best ways to approach it slightly different. And there's just so many great minds. Somebody's going to be like, okay, these are the exact categories we should do. Some poker player will have figured out exactly what it should be, or media person. And then we can just be like, okay, perfect. We've got the list for next year. Let's go.
I think you nail a point there that gets massively overlooked in this industry, because as you fall into a certain position of overseeing things, you want to take on the personal responsibility. But this community is the best crowdsourced community in the world. Like such a collective, high intelligent hive, not even hive mind, but like a high intelligent group that will flesh things out. And the only thing that you need there is the motivation for someone to care.
Yeah.
That's capable. And that's kind of like why this conversation even exists, is because like for better or for worse, we're spending some thoughts and time on this. Like we care.
Yeah.
So it's just like, you know, let's just keep improving.
Get it.
On that, Conrad,
This is our last Bohemian podcast.
this is.
It's been so much fun. It's been a pleasure. I want to personally thank poker.org for having us here at, PCA. This is amazing. I had a lot of fun. On that note, we're out.
See you guys back in America.
Deuces.
Peace.